Yeah, but it's spelled like thief. Thie, and then just instead of the F, an L. Peter Thiel. And it's pronounced like the color, teal. You guys would never guess who is turning anti-Trump. She's got two gigantic thumbs, and she impersonates Dolly Parton. Yeah, you guys know her. That's right. Bug Dude got it.
You think what you think about when you're born into a fire. Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They want to let the world decay.
She's turning on him over the Epstein stuff. So not really for the right reason. I mean, that's one right reason, I guess, but there is John McKay over on the debunking group, the Facebook group that I manage that was given to me or whatever, the debunking crew. He posts pretty often about the stuff around her and how she says she's changing her opinion on Trump, and she's very upset about the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff, and she's actually got a hold of some misinformation on the other side. So somehow she got information that Ghislaine Maxwell got work release, which isn't true as far as I can tell, but she's still, that's one of the reasons that made her whatever. The title of the show is a joke towards Bert. I think last time I looked, he was like on his 9th attempt to start a show last night. It was, it went. Nobody ended up in jail. So that's better than I expected. And I got to see my sisters. That was the good part for me. Oh, that was good timing. That was good timing. A little doo-doo-doo, and then that was good. The music ended. Damn. It's like I'm getting better at this.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Oh, welcome everybody. I am Will Bird, and this is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. I want to start with this because it is being spread around quite a bit. What we know about the rumors convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell has been cleared to leave prison on work release. Has Ghislaine Maxwell been cleared to leave prison on work release? Here's what we know. On August 1st, 2025, the Federal Bureau of Prisons confirmed to lead stories that Maxwell had been moved to a federal prison camp in Bryan, Texas, a minimum security all-women facility. On August 11th, 2025, Allison Gill published an article based on an electronic file from an anonymous source. So she claims that she got emailed a file from an anonymous source. Cropped fragments of the file included in the article appear to contain scoring codes related to Maxwell's custody. Gill points out the code under custody reads OUT, O-U-T, stating that this allows her to leave the minimum security campus for work assignments. Gill compares this to Jeffrey Epstein's sweetheart deal. Gill then questioned how this could be if sex offenders are not allowed to take assignments outside the facility. Later, reports that cited Gill's article turned her questions into a statement. On August 12th, 2025, Raw Story wrote, Ghislaine Maxwell cleared to leave prison on work release report. The same day, Maxwell's attorney, David Oscar Marcus, called out a post referencing Gill's reporting, calling it another false rumor in a post on X. The bold headline of an article published by Raw Story on August 12th, 2025 reads, Ghislaine Maxwell cleared to leave prison for work release. Report. Convicted child sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell has reportedly been cleared to leave prison on work release. Podcast host Allison Gill obtained information about Maxwell's security score, sex offender waiver, and other details after the former partner Jeffrey Epstein was moved to a minimum security prison in Texas. This is how the article appeared at the time of writing. So basically, someone claimed they got an anonymous source to send them some paperwork that supposedly has to do with Ghislaine Maxwell. And because under a coding thing, it says OUT, no one knows what that means, but they just said, oh, that means she can work. She's on work release. But I don't think so. It says podcast host Allison Gill obtained information about Maxwell's security score, sex offender waiver, and other details after the former partner of Jeffrey Epstein was moved to a minimum security prison in Texas. Gill's August 11th, 2025 article archived here titled Exclusive, I have Ghislaine Maxwell's security score, custody level, transfer code, and sex offender waiver, which is published on the Substack blog of the podcast. Mueller, she wrote. The article begins by introducing 7 questions which are posed by Sheldon Whitehouse, the senator from Rhode Island, in a letter dated August 11th, 2025. To the Federal Bureau of Prisons Director William K. Marshall III, requesting all documents related to Maxwell's transfer. Gill does not name the source of the exclusive information on which the article is based. The information is offered in the form of a small cropped images. The coded data in the document appears to have been photographed from a computer monitor. These images are included with annotations from Gill. Picture below. This document may be real, but as presented in fragments and without a source, it is unverified. So let me show you these, I guess. See the documents we're looking at. Time served, and then 4 in parentheses, 26, 75%. Living skills, good. Frequency, description, RP report, none. Program participant, good. Top disciplinary report, none. Family communication, good. Base score, severity, 7, the greatest. Criminal history score, 0 points. Violence, 0. Age category, 55 and older. Name, Maxwell Ghislaine. Pub safety, sex offender. MGTV, PSF waiver. Moved NA. As you can see here, management variable MGTV says PSF waiver, and her PSF public safety factor is sex offender. So they got a waiver to put her at this prison, is what the PSF waiver says. This indicates she is a threat to the public safety because of her sex offender status, and her management variable of PSF waive indicates her sex offender status has been waived in order to facilitate her move to a minimum security facility. Here is her level and custody summary. Base +7, cust +20, variance -8, SEC total 0, scored low, level, management, security minimum, custody out, custody OUT. That may just be that this paperwork was from the prison she left, and it's out of their custody now. Maybe. On August 2nd, on August 12th, 2025, post on X, archived here from Roger Parloff, senior editor at Lawfare, linked to Gill's article. It was reposted by Maxwell's attorney, David Oscar, with his own comment, archived here. Another day, another false rumor about Ghislaine meant to unnecessarily inflame folks. So again, everybody's denying it, but there is this piece of paper that exists, but we don't know what that custody OUT means. We have no idea. It could stand for something. It could be an acronym. I don't know. Everybody's denying it right now, but that's why Rita Big Thumbs is so upset. She says, well, ain't that just great? Convicted sex offenders walk free, so much for justice and accountability. And she shares multiple articles. Ghislaine Maxwell cleared to leave prison on work release report. Maxwell granted work release after quiet shift to Texas minimum security camp, which would be wild. We do not give sex offenders work release. We don't. It wouldn't be the craziest thing this administration has done, right? We don't allow sex offenders to go to prison camp either. Specifically, sex offenders need a waiver to even get to that prison, and it very, very, very rarely done. Sex offenders are looked down on very much, and are left to rot in prisons a lot of time. She's at a day camp, okay? She's at a place where celebrities that like committed fraud would go, or a white collar crime of some wealthy millionaire, right? She is a sex offender. Sex offenders specifically are banned from going to these types of facilities, these ultra low security facilities, but they did a waiver anyways. I don't know. I don't, it's hard to trust anything she says or anything she does. I don't know. I don't think if Joe Biden would have come out and said, well, Trump's all over the Epstein files, I don't think anybody from the right would have believed him. It's wild. wild right now, but she shouldn't be in that prison anyways. Yeah, it did say that allegedly she had tried to reach out to Joe Biden's team with dirt on President Trump. She wanted to give information about Trump for a pardon from Biden. So there you go. I heard her tell another inmate that she had dirt on Trump and that I was going to get her a pardon from Biden. Another inmate said, I guess Biden's camp just didn't want to go down that route. Trump and Epstein were good friends for more than a decade, blah, blah, blah. I think Biden did a really good job of keeping the wall up that Trump break. Typically, there's like a wall between the Justice Department and the president, right? The president isn't directing them who to go after, isn't directing them what to do, how to run investigations, who to pursue next, what cases to drop. And that's always been in play. Well, in the modern era, that's mostly been in place. Trump comes along and it is like his personal servant. I want you to investigate these people. I want you to get rid of those people. We're not going to do this anymore. Trump's, hold on. We'll just watch it. Trump's presser on DC crime is insane. It's fucking insane. Unsubstantiated claims, wild fucking accusations. It's just listen. He even gets mad because they're not asking him questions about the homeless people in D.C. Let me get you some audio. He's starting.
I've ever seen in this room. And we're here for a very
There we go. It looks like they're trying to put way too many. Was this stage not for everybody to be? Was it just for the president? It looks like they crammed everybody. Like people are moving out of his way so he can walk by.
Wow. I've been up here a lot. I've never seen a crowd like this. I think we need a ballroom, and that's happening. It's going to be a beautiful ballroom. This is really...
Crime is down across the nation, in D.C. It's down everywhere, especially off COVID.
A lot of people, most...
If he wanted to do something, it would have been when he was in office during COVID. That was the spike.
I've ever seen in this room. And
the reports are coming out that he's reaching out to people outside. He's reaching out to people outside his normal retinue. Like his normal followers and his normal base of people that he usually talks to. And he's looking for anything to distract from Epstein. And so he's going to do some wild shit in the next couple of weeks, probably. He's reaching out to people that he hasn't talked to in years, had wrote off and told him to get fucked. Basically, he's reaching out to them, asking if they have anything that'll bring some positive press towards him.
We're here for a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it
This is another Liberation Day?
back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed, and you only
mugged and raped and shot and killed.
know people and friends of yours that happened, and so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to, and you all know people and friends of yours that happened, and so you can be any.
He says that what was it? The guy that works for Elon Musk, Big Balls, the Doge guy. The Doge guy woke up and he didn't know if he was alive or dead. All that happened was he got a fucking bloody nose. I could imagine Trump, if someone punched him in the face, he would be the type of guy to tell the story like he almost died. He saw the white tunnel. He didn't know if he's going to make it out alive. And apparently the big balls is like that too. Or at least Trump's telling of it. He got a busted nose. He wasn't beat to death. He wasn't shot. He wasn't stabbed. He got a busted nose.
Anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth. Much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people, and we're not going to let it.
We have DC 41 per 100,000, number one that we can find anywhere in the world. Trump said, holding up a chart, homicide rates of cities are pretty bad, but they're not as bad as that. The Trump chart displayed was first shared on August 6th, Fox News, The Will Cain Show. Trump didn't mention that the data is from 2023. Since then, the district's homicide rate has fallen considerably. The rate was not the worst in the world, then or now. In 2023, at least 49 other cities in the world had higher homicide rates. Crime data analyst Jeff Ashner said it was useful to compare the international cities. It isn't useful to compare international cities with populations in the millions to Washington, D.C., a city of about 700,000 people. A comparison to other large U.S. cities would be more appropriate, in my opinion, Asher said. Washington, D.C.'s homicide rate is influenced in part by the city limits, said James Allen Fox, Northeastern University criminology professor. The city's limits are almost completely urban, compared with other major cities such as Philadelphia and New York City, which each include suburban areas within city limits. Crime rates are calculated by dividing the number of crimes by the population, so including a larger population, such as from suburban areas, can moderate crime rates. So when you get to like the outliers, the people that live in suburbs, obviously they're not committing as much crime as like inner city, like gang violence. But when you don't have those people to offset it, you're kind of fucked.
Happen anymore. We're not going to take it. Just like we did on our southern.
It's actually the district's homicide rate for 2024 is 27.3 per 100,000. That comes from a February report about 2024. Violent crime. So the Department of Justice just noted this drop in a January 3rd press release saying violent crime in 2024 in the District of Columbia is down 35% since 2023 and is the lowest it has been in 30 years. This just came out on January of this year before Trump took office. Total violent crime in 2024 in the District of Columbia is down 35% for 2023 and is the lowest it has been in 30 years. 30-year low. But not when Trump needs something that his fans like.
Nobody comes to us on the border anymore. 3 months in a row we had zero. I don't know if that's right, but the people that do the work, it's a very liberal group of people actually, and they actually
statistically no, you're wrong. Zero people did come 3 months.
He said zero for the last 3 months. Nobody thought a thing like that was possible. And, when you take a look at numbers, I just saw some charts. These are different cities throughout the world. The red is a place called Washington, D.C. Look at these.
The red is a place called Washington, D.C.
We doubled up on Baghdad. Panama City, Brasilia, San Jose, Costa Rica, Bogota, Colombia, heavy drugs. Mexico City, I mentioned, Lima, Peru. All double and triple what they are. So do you want to live in places like that? I don't think so. And I think the people in this room, if you wrote correctly, you'd see, look at the kind of numbers we have. D.C., 41 per 100,000, number one that we can find anywhere in the world. Other cities are pretty bad, but they're not as bad as that. Is that where you want to live? The reporters of the world? Juvenile life offenders and crimes against persons, as they say. It's getting worse. Not getting better, it's getting worse.
Against persons, as they say?
And we had a recent indication, There was a story about a man who was just left. He quit because he was asked to do phony numbers on crime. And we're going to look into that. I think Pam is going to be looking into that. But he was asked by the city, I guess, that we don't want to show the real numbers. Let me do numbers so it looks like it's going down. Not going down. And under Biden, it was a disaster. And nobody did anything about it. We're going to do things
Again, 30 years lows under Biden.
about it like you wouldn't believe. Every American has a constitutional right to be able to access and petition their government in safety, and countless federal officials and employees likewise have the right to carry out their jobs in peace without being shot. As you know,
Even if he was using the 2023 numbers, which was a high, they were 39.4. He can't even use that, right? He has to lie and say they're 41% per 100,000. They weren't even 40. They're 39.4. Like even if you wanted to use that one number from 2023 and not use the most up-to-date information, he still lied about it. Not to mention, he says we're the worst city, or DC's the worst city. That's just not true. Even in 2023, when the high was, right, there were still 49 other cities. 3 of them capitals of foreign nations.
I lost a very good person. A while ago was shot waiting for his wife. He was in the car. They robbed his car. They shot him. They killed him like it was nothing to it. She was walking to the car. It's a horror show. This issue directly impacts the functioning of the federal government and is a threat to America. Really, it's a threat to our country. We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at Los Angeles, how bad it is. We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this.
We don't mention Baltimore and Oakland anymore because they're so far gone. But you said D.C. was the worst. But we don't even mention Baltimore and Oakland anymore.
And
blue cities. Blue cities. He didn't say shit about fucking Houston, where people are getting shot all the goddamn time, or Oklahoma City, right? Houston's fucking bad, dude.
this will go further. We're starting very strongly with D.C., and we're going to clean it up real quick, very quickly, as they say. Days ago, a former member of...
Very quickly, as they say. Who says that? We're going to clean it up quick. Very quickly, as they say.
Doge staff was savagely beaten by a band of
Here we go.
roving thugs after defending a young woman from an attempted carjacking. He was left dripping in blood. He thought he was dead with a broken...
He thought he was dead. He thought he was dead. He had a busted nose, guys. His nose was bleeding. Trump is talking about giving him a fucking medal, the Medal of Freedom. The one that Trump said that it was better than the Medal of Honor. People like Rosa Parks, MLK, Mother Teresa get it. And we're thinking about giving it to, Trump's thinking about giving it to Big Balls for getting a busted nose. I do not think whatsoever, in any way, shape, or form, he was defending anybody from a carjacking. I think that's the PR spin, right? When he gets his ass beat and they know it's probably going to leak out, then what? Well, we'll put a spin on it. You were rescuing a woman who was being carjacked. There you go.
broken nose and concussion. Can't believe that he's alive. He can't believe it. In June, a 21-year-old congressional intern was tragically killed after being hit by a stray bullet in a drive-by shooting. A former Trump administration official named Mike Gill, fantastic person, was murdered last year in cold blood in a carjacking block.
Didn't know if he'd be alive.
In June, he was left dripping in blood. He thought he was dead with a broken nose and concussion. Can't believe that he's alive. He can't
Thought he was dead. He thought he was dead.
believe it. In June, a 21-year-old congressional intern was tragically killed after being hit by a stray bullet in a drive-by shooting. A former Trump administration official named Mike Gill, fantastic person, was murdered last year in cold blood in a carjacking blocks away from the White House. We all knew him. Great person. Waiting for his wife as she was walking to the car. A Democrat congressman was also carjacked at gunpoint not far from the Capitol. And in 2023, an aide to Senator Rand Paul was stabbed in the chest and head by a demented lunatic as he walked down the street, just absolutely for no reason. Horrifically, last July 4th weekend, a 3-year-old girl was shot in the head and killed while sitting in a car near the Capitol. It's becoming a situation of complete and total lawlessness. And we're getting rid of the slums, too. We have slums here. We're getting rid of them. I know it's not politically correct. You'll say, oh, so terrible. No, we're getting rid of the slums where they live.
The slums. We're getting rid of the slums.
Caravans of mass youth rampage through city streets at all times of the day. They're in ATVs, motorbikes. They travel pretty well. Entire neighborhoods are now under emergency curfews. Just this past weekend, gunfire went through, and you saw that, the Navy Yard. I saw it this morning. They saw that they fought back against, let's see, they fight back until you knock the hell out of them, because it's the only language they understand. But they fought back against law enforcement last night. And they're not going to be fighting back long, because I've instructed them and told them whatever happens, you know, they love to spit in the face of the police as the police are standing up.
We know this isn't true, right? How many police videos have we watched? What happens? What is it when someone spits on a police officer? None of that. This isn't true. No one tied their hands and said you can't do anything if someone spits on you, and they know it and they spit on. It's assaults on a law enforcement officer every fucking time we've ever watched a video. Every time we've ever seen somebody spit on a cop, it is assaults on LEO.
Up there in uniform, they're standing, and they're screaming at them an inch away from their face, and then they start spitting in their face. And I said, you tell them, you spit, and we hit. And they can hit real hard. It's a disgusting thing. I've watched that for years, for 3-4 years. I've watched them. The police are standing, and they're told, don't do anything under any search of this, and you can see they want to get at it. And they're standing there, and people are spitting in their face.
None of this happened. Don't do anything under any circumstance. Who said that to anybody? No one said that to anyone.
They're not allowed to do anything. But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want.
Whatever they want.
Crisis stems directly
Murder them. Murder them.
from the abject failures of the city's local leadership. The radical left city council adopted no cash bail. By the way, every place in the country where you have no cash bail is a disaster. That's what started the problem in New York, and they don't change it. They don't want to change it. That's what started it in Chicago. I mean, bad politicians started it, bad leadership started it, but that was the one thing that's central, no cash bail. Somebody murders somebody and they're out on no cash bail before the day is out.
There is an issue with bail. I don't know that it should be... I don't even know if that's DC's policy. I don't think it should be across the board, no bail, right? But there are people that just sat and rot in jail, and the only reason, maybe they're even innocent, just waiting on their day in court, but the only reason is because they don't have thousands of fucking dollars. If they're not the same way that we do bail, if they're not a danger to society, not a flight risk, why the fuck are we charging people thousands and thousands of dollars? They're not even guilty yet, right? They're just accused.
We're going to end that in Chicago. We're going to change the statute. I spoke with Pam and Todd and everybody. We're going to change the statute, and I'm going to have to get the Republicans to vote because the Democrats are weak on crime. Totally weak on crime. They don't know why. They want to stop because they get mugged too. But
they don't even know why. They're weak on crime, and they don't know why.
We're going to change no cash bail. We're going to change the statute and get rid of some of the other things.
And when we see a high-profile case with like a very wealthy person, right, they make bail as soon as they get their mugshot, right? It's not hurting them the same way it's hurting poor people. It doesn't even affect them. They don't give a fuck. $50,000 bail here. I don't even care if you keep it. Like, just let me out of here.
And we'll count on the Republicans in Congress and Senate to vote. We have the majority, so we'll vote. We don't have a big majority, but we've gotten everything, including the great, big, beautiful bill.
He's terrified about midterms coming up.
Got that done, and that's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to people in this country.
Still a while, but still.
To figure it out how good it is. Biggest tax cut in history. So many things. But we'll be able to get that done. So, Todd, if you and Pam can draw up things working with the people.
The people they've got working at Alligator Alcatraz are fucking lunatics. Some lady has a video of her just recording while she's driving by, and some guy like fucking coming and yelling at her and screaming all this shit and cussing her out. Like it's wild.
I'll get it passed. We'll get it passed with the Republicans. Probably won't get, think of this, probably won't get one Democrat vote because they have no idea what they're doing. That's why they want men playing in women's sports. That's why they want transgender for everybody transgender. And they've just got...
Yeah, I think most crimes, unless, again, it's a crime that makes you like a danger to society, or most crimes should just be like a fucking ticket and you show up, Right.
walloped in an election in a landslide, and they haven't changed one thing. I saw the other day that certain gentleman who was a very well-known politician, Democrat, was fighting like hell that men should be allowed to play in women's sport. They just don't get it. They 80-20 issue, and I think it's a 97-3 issue, and I don't know who the three are. I've never heard anybody nobody's ever come up to me, sir, you
So you think it's 100-0 then? You don't think it's 97-3?
have to let men play in women's sports. You have to do it, sir. Nobody's ever approached me. I don't know where this issue even comes from. Never seen anything like it.
Would anybody phrase that argument like that? Like, what the fuck?
But they turned our nation's capital into a sanctuary jurisdiction. That's the other thing. We have to get rid of sanctuary cities as quickly as possible. We're going to do it, too. We have to. Because it's sanctuary for criminals. Releasing illegal alien gang members onto the streets in 2022, nearly 70% of criminals arrested in Washington went unprosecuted. That's not going to happen with the group we have standing aside and standing behind
Yes, every story he ever tells, I think, is a lie.
me. And at the Metropolitan Police Department, it's now reached a small number relatively compared to what it was, but it's thousands of people. You know, we have thousands of police. I was told today, sir, they
Yeah, he also pardoned a guy that worked in the healthcare field down in Florida that stole basically money from his employees' paychecks for years. Bought a yacht, bought a house, bought everything. He just pardoned him, and that canceled his restitution. He doesn't have to pay those healthcare workers back, nurses and doctors and people that worked below him.
want more police. I heard a number, 3,500 police. That's a lot of police. 3,500. I thought they were going to say we only have 30 policemen or women. He said we have 3,500. We need more.
You thought D.C. only had 30 police officers?
You don't need more. That's so many.
Transgender for everybody. They're making everybody trans.
I never heard. That's like an army. How could you need more than 3,000? It just happened 2 minutes ago. Sir, they've requested more police. Oh, what do they have? About 3,500. I said, 3,500? This is not a big area. It's ridiculous. What you need is rules and regulations, and you need the right people to implement them. And we have the right people here, that I can tell you. Look at the border. Biden said there's nothing you can do. Kamala was the border czar. She never called one of the Border Patrol agents who were great. ICE is great. Never spoke to anybody. Never went there. But she was the border czar. And everybody said it was impossible to fix. I fixed it in 3 months. No, really. I fixed it the first week, but really fixed it over the last couple of months. And I mean, literally to a point where, as I said, 0 illegals entering our country.
Not happening. You're just making up a number.
In the last 90 days. Pretty amazing. It's time for dramatic action. We're going to do the same thing over here. It's going to be a very safe city very soon. We're not looking to take years, because a lot of people die in years, and we've got incredible people in this country, except we have to allow them to do their job. And that we will deliver like nobody's ever delivered before. I actually think it's easy.
What he's trying to quote, what he's trying to say is under his new policy, 0 people arrested for illegally entering the United States were released into the United States with like under previous administrations where they had a court date. That's what he's trying to say. What he's saying is that 0 people crossed our border. That's just not true.
You know, if you're competent, it's easy. If you're incompetent, it's impossible. But I'm very competent. Last week, my administration surged 500 federal agents into the district, including from the FBI, ATF,
A lot of people die in years.
DEA, Park Police, the U.S. Marshal Service, the Secret Service, and the Department of Homeland Security. You know, a lot of nations, they don't have anything like that. They got some police. And they're rough police. They don't have DEA, ATF, FBI, Park Police, U.S. Marshal Service, Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security. They
He wants one police force that answers to him.
got some police. But they're rough police, and they do their job. They don't have crime. We're not going to have crime either. They made dozens of arrests, and that's what starts to happen. Again, cashless bail. Watch what we do with that. Today, we're formally declaring a public safety emergency. This is an emergency. This is a tragic emergency. And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday.
He's not going to Russia. You guys know he's going to Alaska, right? He's not going to Russia. He's going to Alaska. And he says he's embarrassed to speak with a dictator because of how DC is.
I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was, with graffiti all over the walls. It's another part of it, by the way, because we're talking about safety, but we're also talking about beautification. We're the most beautiful, potentially, capital in the world. We always had. But people come from Iowa, they come from Indiana, they come and then they get mugged. Not going to happen. Keep coming, because by the time you get your trip set, it's going to be safe again, and it's going to be clean very quickly. We're going to replace the medians that are falling down all over the roads. We're going to replace the potholes. We're going to put a nice new coat of asphalt over the top. No, we don't have to rip the road out and spend 7 years building a new road because they cut everything. Because some designer said, well, we need a 1/4 inch more turn for safety reasons. No, we're going to do it right. We're going to get it.
Yeah, Fuck safety, dude. Fuck them. Just pave it.
Done quickly. So today we're declaring public safety emergency in the District of Columbia. And Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's fantastic, is taking command of the Metropolitan Police Department as of this moment. And I'll be making the appropriate notifications to Congress and to the mayor, our new DEA administrator, who's one of the top in the country. He better be Terry if you're not going to get rid of you so fast. Terry Cole. Terry, thank you.
Let me see if I can find this video. I think he's sending a message. I think there might be some players behind the scenes that still want the Epstein stuff to take Trump down. And I think he's sending a message. He's in control. He has the power. He's surrounding himself. He's putting Pam Bondi in charge of the police force. He's going to call in the military. I think he's sending a message. Let me see if I can find this video. I think J.D. Vance is one of them. Yes, it's this silent middle child.
Hey, Anthony.
Yeah.
So should we officially panic?
Let me quote one of my favorite books. I must.
Here you go.
Hey, Anthony.
Yeah.
What do you think of Trump deploying the National Guard in Washington, D.C.?
I think the Trump administration is setting up for a metaphorical Night of the Long Knives, and this is the precursor to that.
What's the Night of the Long Knives?
The Night of the Long Knives is the name for the 48 hours or so in 1934, in which a certain charismatic German leader and the SS overthrew and unalived a significant portion of said leader's rivals at the time, especially those in his own party. And those 48 hours helped consolidate his rise to power, and everything that we know came after that.
What are the similarities that you're noticing?
Well, I'm hardly the first person to say that there's a lot of parallels between the Trump administration and the German party in the 1940s. And I think that we can look to those parallels to advise ourselves of how the Trump administration is likely to act in the future. Just as one example of those parallels, if we look at the events that occurred on January 6th in 2021, where the Trump administration had essentially a failed coup of the U.S. Capitol, we can compare that to the beer hall putsch in 1923, in which case the German party that we all know about did basically the same thing. And in both cases,
they tried to take over. They failed.
We had, this charismatic leader with a group of zealot and followers basically attempt to overthrow a legitimate government. They failed. In both cases, the leaders recovered, eventually gained power again, and in the case of the Germans, we all know what followed that. I think there's a serious concern that we're seeing a similar rise to power and everything that follows in the U.S. History doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And so when I'm seeing something like Trump putting troops in the Capitol, I'm immediately thinking, like, what's the goal of this, right? Trump's facing a lot of criticism right now, including and especially from his own party because of his administration's failed handling of the Epstein files. We have a lot of Republican leaders and power figures like Rupert Murdoch speaking out against Trump, to the point where we even have his own vice president, J.D. Vance, allegedly meeting with Murdoch for reasons that I can only assume are plotting the overthrow of Trump and replacing him with somebody who's easier to work with, like J.D. Vance. And Trump is feeling the pressure from a lot of different angles because of that. This is a man that we're talking about that, worships authoritarians. He's spoken very highly of...
He's talking about the meeting between Rupert Murdoch and J.D. Vance hours before some more negative Epstein stuff came out, the birthday card thing.
People like Kim Jong-un, like Bolsonaro, like Putin, who are strongman dictators and exactly the type of man that Trump wants to be. And so when he's facing this criticism from his own party, I think his natural instinct is to put military troops in the Capitol to remind them that he's in charge. It's both a...
That's what I think. It's a warning. He's in charge. He can do what he wants. He can come to your city. Back the fuck off.
Warning and a threat at the same time. And they're also conveniently there if he decides that that's not enough and he wants to violently seize power. When it comes down to it, there's too many similarities to what's happened in the past Trump worships authoritarians, and this is his chance to be one.
Hey, Anthony.
By the way, there was a bunch of people in the run-up to the election and post-Trump election that said that when people are like, well, I'm honestly kind of left, but I voted for Trump. And they're like, well, would you do this? Or would you stop backing Trump at this and stop backing? They said that they would not support Trump if he went after gay marriage. They think everybody should be able to get married to whoever the fuck they want. Well, they're going after gay marriage now. Just so you know, the Supreme Court's going to fucking hear a case on it.
Thanks. Very good. We just got him. Most highly recommended person. And you'll be designated as the interim federal commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Department. Okay? And you run them tough. They're good. You have a lot of good people. You have people that shouldn't be there. You also have people that shouldn't be there. They got in there because of woke. But you have a lot of great police. And those people.
They got in there because of what? Those police officers got there because of woke.
Well, the ones that want to help you. This city will no longer be a sanctuary for illegal alien criminals. We will have full, seamless, integrated cooperation at all levels of law enforcement, and we'll deploy officers across the district with an overwhelming presence. You'll have more police, and you'll be so happy. Because you'll be safe. When you walk down the street, you're going to see police, or you're going to see FBI agents. You're going to have a lot of agents on the street. You're going to have a lot of, essentially, military. And we will bring in the military if it's needed, by the way. We're going to have National Guard. But Pete Hegseth will tell you about it. We will bring in the military if needed. People say, oh, that's so terrible. He's going to bring in, it's been used many times over the years. I don't think we'll need it. I think we've got so many great people, including the people that are in the police department with proper leadership. They'll immediately begin massive enforcement operations targeting known gangs, drug dealers, and criminal networks to get them the hell off the street, maybe get them out of the country, because a lot of them came into our country illegally. They shouldn't have been allowed in. They come from Venezuela. They come from all over the world. We're going to get them the hell out. They won't be here long. But some of these people, a lot of them are homegrown criminals. And these are bad people. These are rough people. And this is just a list of some of the people that were given to me today that were criminals removed from the D.C. streets this weekend. They were rough and tough. But we're rougher and tougher.
Rough and tough.
People here. Nothing, they're not going to be your local school teacher. This guy has killed people numerous times. They're not going to be an asset. They will never be an asset to society. I don't care. I know we all want to say, oh, they're going to be rehabbed. It's not going to be rehabbed. I'm going to ask Doug Burgum to come up and say a couple of words because he's in charge, as you know. He's interior.
They won't be rehabs. They can be.
I've heard so many great things about the Park Police. They're proud of it. They've been there for a long time. Their families oftentimes grow into the roles. They love the country. They love this area. So, Doug, could you say a few words, please?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, it's like the stage isn't big enough.
For the U.S. Park Police, this is the oldest federal police force of the nation. They were formed in 1791 by none other than President George Washington. Statue of Liberty, all of you.
I don't care what he says.
Could you say something about the military doing?
Well, Mr. President, it's an honor to be here. And at your direction this morning, we mobilized the D.C. National Guard. It'll be operationalized by the Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, through the D.C. Guard. You will see them flowing into the streets of Washington in the coming week. At your direction as well, sir, there are other units we are prepared to bring in. Other National Guard units, other specialized units. They will be strong, they will be tough, and they will stand with their law enforcement partners. This is nothing new for DOD. As the President noted, at the border, we've got 10,000 troops down there who've been operating in defense cooperation areas, defense zones, where there's zero illegal crossings because of troops on strike.
This is not true, right? This isn't true. Thousands and thousands of people are crossing. It's zero releases. How could you ever say that it was zero? Like, you couldn't, right? What about the people that you didn't see?
Scanning the border. We've been protecting other people's borders for 20 years. It's about time we protect our own. And we're working with ICE and CBP. In Los Angeles, we did the same thing. Working with the California National Guard, working with ICE officers. ICE officers deserve to do their job and not be attacked.
Actually, they ended up getting pulled out of fucking L.A. after all the backlash they took.
We will work alongside all D.C. police and federal law enforcement to ensure this city is safe, this city is beautiful, and as I always say about President Trump to the troops, he has their back. And my message to the National Guard and federal law enforcement in Washington is, we have your back as well. Be tough, be strong, we're right behind you. Thank you,
I'm going to ask Pam, because she's now, as you heard me say, she's really in charge of a lot of what we're talking about. She's done an incredible job, and people are going to start to see the fruits of her labor. And Pam, maybe you could say a few words about what we're talking about here.
Sure, President.
Yeah, National Guard's not fans.
Let me be crystal clear. Crime in D.C. is ending and ending today. We are going to use every power we have.
I've never met anybody. It's like, hell yeah, we get to deploy up here and be fucking sort of police officers without as much power.
To fight criminals here. President, thank you for caring about our capital. Families come here every summer. Our museums are free. We have the National Zoo. We have the National Gallery. D.C. should be a place where everyone can come and feel safe. Behind me and to my side, we have some of the best career law enforcement and prosecutors in the country who are ready to take this on. As the President said, Terry Cole is going to be supervising the Metro Police Department. Yadi Saralta, our U.S. Marshal, is going to be supervising command.
They could, if you're without a job, right, and you'd like to be, get that pay coming in, and it activates some other benefits and shit too, maybe.
Control the entire operation. Our Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and I will be working with them closely, along with our great FBI Director, Kash Patel. Kash is going to talk to you in a minute about what we did in Virginia recently with Governor Youngkin. Many of you covered that, and it was tremendously successful. Not only that, our secret weapon here in D.C. is U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro.
By the way, they were lying on this chart right here, right? They put 2024 murder rates. This isn't. This is data from 2023.
one of the toughest prosecutors and a former judge, and she is going to be talking about juvenile crime, how it's out of control here, and what she's going to do to fight back. No more crime rampant in our beautiful capital. No more teenage girls beating a disabled man to death. No more of that. No more drive-bys. We're going to do everything we can, and working with the ATF Director Driscoll and Commander of the Army, we're going to all work together. That's what we all do in this room. We work together, we fight. Do not underestimate one person in this room. We're going to make D.C. beautiful. We're going to make D.C. safe again. One other thing, just at the wharf, a few days ago, the area of the wharf, Terry Cole reached out to me, not even nightfall, on the weekend, where so many families in tourists go. A guy's overdosing from fentanyl on a park bench, in the middle of families around. They administered Narcan and saved his life. No more of that. The President of the United States is going to clean up D.C.
No more overdoses?
And we're going to be there to help him, and we're going to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess what about Northern Virginia? Northern Virginia, we had a big success.
Well, Trump only thought they had 30 police officers in all of D.C., so.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for your leadership. Deputy Attorney General, rest of our interagency partners. Mr. President, the following is what happens when you let good cops be cops, and I just want to highlight that before I get into Northern Virginia. This year alone, under President Trump's administration, we've had over 4,000 child victims identified and found. That's a 33% increase from the same time period last year. 33% increase.
How tiny is Cash Patel?
We've had a seizure of 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl up to this date. That is a 25% increase since the same time period last year. And just to put it in perspective, 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl is enough to kill 115 million Americans. 115 million Americans.
By the way, one of their largest fentanyl busts was all set up underneath the Biden administration.
Are getting after it. The FBI has arrested
some of them that they included in their report actually happened before Trump even took office.
19,000 people this year alone. Thanks to President Trump's administration, that's double than where we were this time last year. And we have also arrested 1,600 people who have committed violent acts against children. 270 of them are human traffickers of children. Mr. President, this is what happens when you have great leadership at the Attorney General with Pam Bondi. Your administration's priority protecting the homeland and protecting American citizens and protecting our children, and the murder rates are plummeting. We are now able to report that the murder rate is on track to be
Stop turning away from the mic. You can kiss his ass looking forward, bro.
the lowest in U.S. history, in modern recorded U.S. history, thanks to this team behind me and President Trump's priorities. And how do we do it? And what are we going to bring to D.C.? What we did in Northern Virginia, thanks to Terry Cole and Governor Youngkin and the team, we stood up a task force out in my Northern Virginia field office, and we said, let's let good cops be cops, let's get them the intelligence and what they need, and let's get the red tape out of their way, and let's get DOJ partnered up with us to bring great prosecutions, and that's exactly what we did. In 1 month, we arrested 545 violent felons, 545 in the state of Virginia, thanks to Governor Youngkin's partnership. And that simplicity in law enforcement is what's coming to Washington, D.C. When you let good cops be cops, when you give them the intel they need, when you work with our Homeland Security Task Force, when you work with Terry and Gaddy and I go way back to Miami, these guys are great leaders of the respective departments and law enforcement capacities. And when you have the DOJ and President Trump driving behind this mission, we are going to clean up Washington, D.C., and we're going to do it the right way, the lawful way, and we're going to make sure Washington, D.C. is safe again. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Cash. So the process begins right now. It actually started over the weekend. We can
Okay.
a lot of very bad people, but it's going to be something that will be pretty amazing to you as you watch it. And I think most of you say it's a beautiful thing to do it right. We're going to be removing homeless encampments from all over our parks, our beautiful, beautiful parks, which now a lot of people can't walk on. They're very dirty, got a lot of problems. But we've already started that. We're moving the encampments away, trying to take care of people. Some of those people, we don't know how they even got there. Some of those people are from different countries, different parts of the world. Nobody knows who they are. They have no idea, but they're there. Getting rid of people from underpasses and public spaces from all over the city. There are many places that they can go, and we're going to help them as much as you can help. But they'll not be allowed to turn our capital into a wasteland for
Said he's going to take them out of the cities, like to farms.
the world to see. The Metropolitan Police Department and the federal authorities will be supported in
It would be one thing if they wanted to help all those people. They don't. They just want them to disappear.
the effort, a really big effort, the 800 D.C. National Guardsmen that we'll put on.
I could get behind helping them, seeing what they need, getting them set up in some type of system to where they go through therapy and deal with substance abuse issues or whatever it might be, and help them get documents. That's usually a big barrier to get employed if they don't have their birth certificate, Social Security card, that stuff, a driver's license, and get them back in the workforce. Absolutely.
Much more necessary, much more.
Hiding them so Trump doesn't have to see them, I don't know about that.
You remember I said, I go for 10,000 once. Remember I said to a certain person, a person who I thought always was highly overrated, not very competent. But I said, if you need them, we'll give you 10,000 of the military or the National Guard. They turned me down. But if necessary, we're going to move service members directly to join.
187 minutes. 187 minutes. He watched January 6th happen while people begged him to do something. He didn't. And then he blames it on Nancy Pelosi.
Joining the Guardsmen, and that'll take place very rapidly, and that'll be done in conjunction with Pam and with Pete and everybody else. Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful cities anywhere in the world. And we're going to make it that. We're going to make it safe. We're going to make it smart. We're going to make it beautiful. So beautiful. Some of the buildings.
Look how tiny his mouth is compared to everybody else's mouth. It's so fucking small, dude.
We're going to add to it. You see what we've done at the White House. White House is a whole different building. I do that in my part-time because it's a natural instinct as a real estate person. I was very good at that. I was very good at fixing things up. I like fixing things up. You see what's happening. The marble floors are being reinstalled, renovated, fixed. The whole place is becoming very beautiful. We're going to be adding a magnificent ballroom, most beautiful ballroom, I think, anywhere. We need it. I would have certainly loved to have had it today. I think we would have filled it up. A lot of you are standing outside, can't get in this room. I've never seen the room like this, which tells me that you want to talk about, this was a D.C. news conference. It tells me that you want to talk about crime in D.C. and beautification of D.C., but I'm going to put that. That's easy. And I think, frankly, fixing the crime with the pros, fixing the crime is easy, too. A person...
He's gonna put fucking gold leaf on everything in DC. Gold leaf the homeless people.
Who I've known for a long time, and she's been incredible. She was a fantastic, one of the best ever district attorneys in New York. She was in Westchester, and she became a judge, very successful judge. And then she went into showbiz because she was such a good DA and such a good judge, tough judge, but fair, always fair. Nobody ever complained about that, but she was tough. And because of that and her reputation, she went into showbiz. So a lot of people don't, they think of Janine as showbiz. Actually, showbiz was not her thing. And she did great. She was on, along with a couple of other of my friends, on the #1 show, and she did great. But this is what she loves doing. This is really her.
We know you hired the entire Fox News staff. That and the Heritage Foundation. We get it.
Maybe what she's going to do is going to be incredible. And I'd like to speak for just a few seconds on what she has in mind, what she wants to do. We're going to be appointing some judges. We have some open spots, and we're going to take people, because the judges are letting killers out. They just say, go, it's okay, don't worry about it. So we're putting some Pam recommended, Todd recommended.
Can you show me one example of a judge speaking to a convicted killer and being like, it's okay. Just go. We don't care.
Some judges that a great Janine recommended. Janine's given me 3 great.
But people eat this up, especially the fear stuff, dude. The fear. I guarantee you, if my parents were still alive and I went and asked them about DC, they'd be terrified.
Candidates already. We have about 10 open spots, so we could probably create some more. We need them. Janine, would you say a few words, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Madam Attorney General, and to all my partners here. We all want the same thing. We all want a safe city. We want a safe capital. We want to be able to bring our families here. We want to be able to come and enjoy the history that makes this place great. And unfortunately, we are not in that position right now. And Mr. President, I want to thank you for taking the step that we need right now to make criminals understand that they are not going to get away with it anymore. And I'm not going to stand here and go over and over the cases. But what I can tell you is this. I see too much violent crime being committed by...
She's a wino, yeah.
...think that they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. They don't care.
This is just like the opening of one of our shows, little monologue skit.
Where they are. They can be in DuPont Circle, but they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and you have a gun. I convict someone of shooting another person with an illegal gun on a public bus in the chest. Intent to kill? I convict him. And you know what the judge gives him? Probation. Says you should go to college. We need to go after the D.C. Council and their absurd laws. We need to get rid of this concept of, no cash bail. We need to...
She's insane. Yes.
Law-abiding citizens. And it starts today. But it's not going to end today because the president is going to do everything we need to do to make sure that these emboldened criminals understand we see you, we're watching you, and we're going to change the law to catch you. And my final note is this. These kids understand that the jurisdiction is through the State Attorney General, Brian Schwab. I did a poster of the young man from Doge who was beaten bloody with a severe concussion, a broken nose. And then I did a poster of what happens to those kids because I can't arrest them, I can't prosecute them. They go to family court, and they get to do yoga and arts and crafts. Enough.
Yoga.
Today. Thank you.
Makes sense.
Great job. Thank you.
Yeah, let's fucking lock them up forever and throw away the key. 14-year-olds, fuck them.
If I could, I just signed some executive orders. I'd like to have Will please come up and we'll let the people know what we signed. Do you want to put them down?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I don't even think they tested him for a concussion. They're like, oh, you got struck in the face. You probably have a concussion too. Are you experiencing any of this? Yes, then you have a concussion.
A short while ago in the Oval Office, President Trump signed 2 crucial executive actions to deal with the emergency crime conditions we currently face in the District of Columbia. The first of these was an executive order, as President Trump said before, invoking his powers under Section 40 of the Home Rule Act to take federal control of the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. Along with that executive order, President Trump signed the statutorily required notification letters to Mayor Bowser and to the relevant House and Senate committee leaders. The second major executive action that President Trump signed was a presidential memorandum directing the Secretary of Defense to utilize the National Guard to address the conditions we see on our streets here in D.C. It also authorized the Secretary of Defense to work with state governors to utilize their National Guard units if necessary as well. These are bold, decisive steps intended to combat the out-of-control crime conditions we've seen on D.C. streets for far too long, and I, for one, am deeply proud to be part of an administration that's finally coming to terms with these issues, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. So, just to conclude, Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, most beautiful places anywhere in the world. It was years ago. We had one problem that was a pretty big problem. The radical left got out of control, and they started trying to rip down statues. And I said, let's go pass a law real fast. We're going to do it real fast, but we were blocked by the Democrats who do not want safety. Nobody gets it. I don't get it. They don't get it because they can't get votes. I don't know how they can win an election with this, but they don't want safety. And I found an old statute, very old, early 1900s, that said if you so much as touch or even think about destroying a statue or a monument in Washington, D.C., you go to jail for 10 years with no probation, no anything. Literally slightly different than we have today. Today we have cashless bail. Today you get jailed 10 years. No curtailed sentence, 10 years. And we took it out. Nobody used it. It was never used because, it's harsh. And you remember they started to rip down the statue of Abraham Lincoln. I said, that's a tough one to rip down.
When were they tearing down the Lincoln Memorial?
He was pretty good, Pam. I think he was pretty good. When the rope started going around Abraham Lincoln to pull him down, Andrew Jackson.
Remember this.
Others.
Andrew Jackson. They pulled down the Lincoln Memorial. They had ropes around the Lincoln Memorial. They're going to pull him down. Andrew Jackson.
And they were heading to the Jefferson Memorial, Thomas Jefferson. Big number there. I said, it's time. And I signed that statute. Immediately we had it updated, we made it use the same language, all passed by Congress. And I announced it's 10 years in jail, no probation, no anything, 10 years, no curtail sentence if you touch so much as touch a statue in Washington, D.C. And it was an amazing sight, beautiful sight. Everybody just left. The ropes were hanging around Andrew Jackson, and there were 2 ropes around Abraham Lincoln. They left the rope, but everybody just
This didn't happen.
left. I know it was the last problem we ever had. You know, that was the last problem that we ever had with the statues. They were going wild. And somebody came to me and said, sir, in 1910, I don't want...
Who the fuck did he just point at?
We ever had. You know, that was the last problem that we ever had with the statues. They were going wild. And somebody came to me and said, sir, in 1910, I don't want to give you it exactly as you say, Donald Trump gave us wrong dates around like early on. You know, if I'm slightly off, they make you sound a little bad. So I won't put myself in that position. I won't put you in that position because I think everybody agrees with what we're doing today. But when I signed that thing, it was like a miracle. Everybody left. They were gone. They were starting to march down. They started the march toward Thomas Jefferson. And I figured he was always going to be safe. But they found something with him, and they found something with Abraham Lincoln. And even in the name George Washington in California, numerous places changed the name of George Washington High School and various other places. They took George Washington's name. This was a sick, woke culture that I think we've largely ended. And a lot of those people that were woke are now turning out to be the opposite. I won't go so far as to say MAGA. It's a very special category. But they've gotten out of that. But we have people that love this country, and they love this really beautiful capital. It is. I flew over it the other day, and I said, what a beautiful place. But there's crime all over the streets. When you get there, it doesn't look so beautiful. But we're going to make it beautiful again. We're going to fix it with crime, and we're going to also, as we're doing that, we're going to start doing things that we know how to do, that I know how to do better than...
By the way, the law he's talking about, I don't even think he understands it. It's the Veterans Memorial Preservation and Recognition Act. I don't think he even fucking understands it.
Anybody, I guess, because of my experience from previous life. But not only are we stopping the crime, we're going to clean up the trash and the graffiti and the grime and the dirt and the broken marble panels and all of the things they've done to hurt this city. And we're going to restore the city back to the gleaming capital that everybody wants it to be. It's going to be something very special. All of these people are really tough. Can I shake your hand, Gaddy, please? You're going to be so important here. You're going to be that guy. I hope I don't have to fire him in 2 weeks because he's too soft. I don't think he's too soft.
It's actually from 1964. It says... One of the laws cited in the order is destruction of government property, which carries a potential fine of up to $250,000 or 10 years imprisonment, or both, if the purposeful damage to government property exceeds $100. The law has been around since 1964. And then the Veterans Memorial Preservation Act, which happened in 2003, carries a fine and or imprisonment up to 10 years of those convicted of vandalizing or destroying monuments, plaques, statues, or other property commemorating the service of any person or persons in the armed forces of the United States. These laws have been on the books for many years. Trump has not recently authorized the Department of Justice to pursue these cases, but has ordered the Attorney General to prioritize them.
Soft. If I do, I will, though. Is it okay? If you're soft, weak, and pathetic, like so many people, I will fire you so fast. You're not going to have to worry about that. No, I think you're going to do a fantastic job. And everybody in this room, they may not express it, but they all want that to happen. You know, they want to be safe, and their families too. So it's an honor to have such a large group. I've done this for years now. Hard to believe. I've never seen this room so packed.
He doesn't... I don't think he knows that Andrew Jackson and Andrew Johnson are two different people. He keeps switching back and forth between the two whilst telling the same story.
In fact, I'm sure it's a violation of every fire code. But we'll let you stay anyway. You take it a chance. And with that, we'll say maybe if you could. Oh, wow. We could be here all day long. If we could keep the first questions perhaps to the subject, and then we'll go into a few others. Please.
Mr. President, thank you so much. Can you talk about how personal of an issue this is? You talked about flying over the Washington Monument and seeing the pride of what D.C. is. Do you believe that the status of the city, the cleanliness, the way the crime is low, is a direct reflection on how the country is run?
Yeah, I do. I think the Capitol, look, everyone comes here. They're all coming. All the leaders. They're all wanting.
All of them.
And I say it, I've said it again, but I'm really just quoting other leaders from NATO, from the Middle East, King of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. I was over there. We brought back $5.1 trillion of investments.
So the UN and all the Middle East.
Our country, but I was a month and a half ago. I was at NATO. We had a great thing.
The country's so hot. You got the hottest country. I don't say this often, but your country's hot, hot, hot.
Agreed to put up 5% instead of 2%. 2% they didn't pay, 5% already paid. We had a great meeting, and they all said the same thing. They said our country was dead. They thought our country was gone. 1 year ago, they said your country was dead, and now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country in the world right now. It's not only the money, it's in billions, trillions of dollars of money, but it gives us great power over enemies. We solved 5 wars with Pakistan and India. We just solved one. Azerbaijan and, as you know, in Armenia. War was raging for 37 years.
5 wars he solved.
And the two leaders got up and they said, we never thought this would be solved. Russia tried to solve it. They all tried to solve it. It was a very tough situation, but we got it done. And I said to the two men, I said, are you guys friends? And they had a hard time. You know, they've been killing each other for 37 years, right? One was there 5 years, one was there for 22 years. He said, my whole life I've been fighting this war, and you got it solved. But we did many of those. We did in the Congo and Rwanda. That's been going on for 30 years. 8 to 9 million people killed that they know of, but it was raging, and we got that solved. We got a lot of it. It's a great honor. But you want to have, when they come, the leaders come to our country to sign documents that the war is over or whatever, or for other reasons.
Weird. He stopped these 5 wars, allegedly, but he can't stop the one that he promised to stop before he even entered the White House. It's weird.
Come for trade, and you want them to come through so beautifully. You ride down those roads, everything should be perfect. You shouldn't have medians falling down into the roadway. Median, you know.
Trump says, I've stopped 6 wars since taking office in January 2025. President Donald Trump and his supporters have coined a new nickname for him, the Peacemaker in Chief. The White House recently touted several peace deals and ceasefires, some temporary, as feathers in Trump's cap. The administration says the president cooled hostilities by leveraging both U.S. military and economic pressure. His supporters argue his actions are worthy of a Nobel Peace Prize, something Trump has long sought after. Quote, I've stopped 6 wars. I'm averaging about a war a month, Trump said on July 28th in Turnberry, Scotland. He has repeated the version of the line about 10 times. Trump and his team cite his diplomacy between Israel and Iran, the Diplomatic Republic of Congo and Rwanda, Cambodia and Thailand, India, Pakistan, Serbia, Kosovo, Egypt, Ethiopia. White House spokesperson Anna Kelly said Trump had direct involvement in these conflicts, leveraging tools from America's mighty military might to our superior consumer market. Missing from his list is the Russia-Ukraine war, which he pledged to end within 24 hours of taking office, and the Israel-Hamas war. Foreign policy experts said Trump deserves some credit for recent peace agreements in several conflicts. They cited conflicts between Cambodia and Thailand, Israel, Iran, and India and Pakistan, although India disputes that Trump was ever even involved. But the others strike me as major exaggerations or very premature. Michael O'Hanlon, Brookings Institute Director of Research and Foreign Policy, Senior Fellow, said, but it's still not a bad record, especially if someday he can add Ukraine to the list while avoiding a war in East Asia as well. The peace agreement between Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda is temporary and very shaky. With Egypt and Ethiopia, there is no deal on the table whatsoever. With Kosovo and Serbia, there's little evidence he was significantly involved or that a major conflict was even emerging. That's the one he's talking about. They've been fighting for 37 years, Kosovo and Serbia. I don't know. He makes everything up.
The metal things that are always, somebody had a great lobbyist, because I've never seen them look good. I've been looking at those things with the little, right? They're always broken, bad, but here they're really bad. And we're going to either put new or fix it. And it's not expensive. It's not really expensive. And we're going to fix our roads a little bit. We're going to clean up our sidewalks. You have countries where every Saturday the people go out and they wash their sidewalks in front of their stores or their houses. They scrub their sidewalks. So we aren't quite at that level yet. I don't think, Gaddy, we're not quite there yet. But maybe we will. They go out and they scrub. I think it's so beautiful to hear that and to see those stories. But we're going to make it clean. But just to finish with your question, it's a very, very strong reflection of our country. And when they see a bad city, my father always used to tell me, I had a wonderful...
By the way, India, from the get-go with Pakistan, rejected any third-party mediation. Trump may have talked to Pakistan. I have no idea. India rejected it. And then, basically, the Indian foreign secretary called up Pakistan's director general of military operations, and they just talked to each other. It had nothing to do with Trump wasn't there. Trump didn't set up the call. India reached out to Pakistan. India refused to take any help from anybody. No third-party media. Like they did it on their own, and Trump takes credit for it somehow.
Father, very smart. And he used to say, son, when you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty front door, don't go in. Because if the front door is dirty, the kitchen's dirty also. Same thing with the Capitol. If our Capitol's dirty, our whole country is dirty.
If our president's a felon, our whole country's a felon.
And they don't respect us. So it's a very good question.
Question for you on specific issues. Do you expect more cities to follow DC's path if this goes through? So the idea is that Chicago, LA, San Francisco, would they expect similar action to what we've seen in DC? And the other question, sir, there's reporting that the administration is going to reclassify marijuana. Would that send mixed messages that marijuana is okay, some drugs are okay, but we're trying to clean up crime? How do they go hand in hand?
We're only looking at that. That's early, but somebody reported it, which is fine. We're looking at it. Some people like it. Some people hate it. Some people hate the whole concept of marijuana because if it does bad for the children, it does bad for people that are older than children. But we're looking at reclassification, and we'll make a determination over the next few weeks. And that determination hopefully will be the right one. Very complicated subject. The subject of marijuana. I've heard great things having to do with medical.
He only wants to do medical. He only wants to do medical, no recreational.
I've had bad things having to do with just about everything else, but medical and, for pain and various things, I've heard some pretty good things, but for other things, I've heard some pretty bad things. The other part of your question, we're just going to see what happens with it all. We're going to have a tremendous success in what we're doing. Other cities are hopefully watching this. They're all watching, just like everyone's watching here. They're all watching, and maybe they'll self-clean up, and maybe they'll self-do this and get rid of the cashless bail thing and all of the things that cause the problem. If you go back, this whole thing with cashless bail is a disaster. So many problems came that we never had before. So they're watching us today, and if they don't learn their lesson, if they haven't studied us properly, because we're going to be very successful. I have zero doubt about that. It's going to be So it's a question of will it be really fast, like the border. And everyone said, they used to say, Biden used to say, I need legislation. I didn't get any legislation. I called up our people, and we did a great job. Tom Homan was great. As you know, our secretary did a great job. They did a great job. There's no games. They didn't play games. And we're going to have the same thing here. But then I'm going to look at New York in a little while. Let's do this. Let's do this together. Let's see. It's going to go pretty quickly. And if we need to, we're going to do the same thing in Chicago, which is a disaster. We have a mayor there who's totally incompetent. He's an incompetent man. And we have an incompetent governor there. Pritzker's an incompetent. His family threw him out of the business, and he ran for governor. And now I understand he wants to be president. But I noticed he lost a little weight, so maybe he has a chance. You know, you never know what happens. But Pritzker's a gross incompetent guy, thrown out of the family business. But when I look at Chicago, and I look at...
oh, my God.
We didn't go to L.A. 3 months ago. L.A. would be burning like the part that didn't burn. If he would have allowed the water to come down, which I told him about in my first term, I said, you're going to have problems. Let it come down. We actually sent in our military to have the water come down into L.A. They still didn't want it to come down after the...
That's still not true. They almost flooded out a city. They had to stop it, but that water didn't even go to LA. We read this whole story, right?
Fires. But that was it. We have it coming down. But hopefully LA's watching. That mayor also.
The water does not go to LA. It goes to farmers, and they wasted a bunch of it that the farmers are going to need in the middle of summer, and they almost flooded out of town without any warning.
The city's burning. They lost like 25,000 homes. I went there the day after the fire. You were there, and I saw people standing in front of a burned down home. It was, their homes were incinerated. They weren't like, even the steel was literally, it was all warped and literally disintegrated because of the winds and the flame and the whole thing, like a blowtorch. They were standing on this beautiful day, maybe a couple of days after. We gave it a little time because what they had suffered. Almost 25,000 homes. And you see what's happening now. They didn't give their permits. I went to a town hall meeting. I said, we're going to get you the federal permits, which are much harder. Almost immediately. Lee Zeldin is a star. He did an incredible job. They have all their federal permits. They don't have their city permits. And the mayor said to me, we think we can have them in 2 years. I was walking down the street, and I met with firemen and police. And I was saying hello to many people that were standing in front of their homes with yellow tape. You can't go in. You can't go onto the lot. And those people wanted to start rebuilding the homes then and there. And the mayor said, we should be able to get them the permits within 2 years. I said, that's a shame. 2 years? Are you kidding? I'm going to get them the federal permit like almost immediately. 2 years. And she wrote back, well, maybe 1 year. The place was booing her out of the place. They don't have their permits to build their homes. And now they're talking about putting, this is among the most beautiful areas was in the country. Now they're talking about putting low-income housing there. Can you believe this? I love low-income housing. I made money with low-income housing. I built low-income housing. I know more about low-income housing and luxury housing. I know about everything real estate. They want to replace some of those homes with low-income housing. They haven't gotten their permits yet. We've gotten all the federal permits, which are much tougher to get, and it was done almost immediately through Lee Zeldin and Federal Environmental. And I watched the other day, those people are angry. And now, you know, they had tremendous, they love that area. They love the whole big area, different places, but they loved it. It was all luxury stuff and beautiful stuff. And some wasn't that luxury, but the level of love for that neighborhood, their neighborhoods was incredible. And you know what? I watch people on television, they want to go, they want to leave. They've lost their spirit, they've lost their heart, because the mayor's incompetent. And Gavin Newsom is incompetent. Got a good line of bullshit, but that's about it. He's incompetent. And you have Los Angeles is, you know, it's amazing. You know, I called, the first thing I did, I got the Olympics to go there. I was the one that got it. And by a rare thing, it happened, I'll be the president. I was very upset because I got the Olympics, and I said I won't be president when it comes, but bad things happened, and illegal things happened, really illegal things happened. Now it turns out, one good thing was I'm going to be the president for the Olympics for 2050, for 250, which is going to be fantastic, and also for the World Cup. So we have a lot of good things, and I hope I'm going to be the president for the Olympics for 2050, for 250, which is going to be fantastic, and also for the World Cup. So we have a lot of good things, and I hope 250 is going to be the 250th anniversary is going to be the best. But when I looked at those people, and I saw it last night,
2050, 250.
on television, that they still don't have their permits, it's a disgrace what's happened in us.
Okay, thank you. The China tariff deadline is tonight. When do you plan to extend that?
We'll see what happens. China's been, we've been dealing very nicely with China, as you probably have heard. They have tremendous tariffs that they're paying to the United States of America, and we'll see what happens. They've been dealing quite nicely. The relationship is very good with President Xi and myself.
You mentioned your upcoming with President Putin.
Yeah.
Tell us what you hope to get out of that, whether you consider inviting President Zelensky to join.
So you have to understand, there's a war that should have never happened. There's a war that wouldn't have happened.
Okay, Biden did it.
It was the apple of his eye. I got along very well with President Putin.
It would have never happened, but Putin won't listen to me. I call him, we agree on something, I talk about how good the call was, and then he fires missiles into Ukraine. And then I say, damn that, Putin.
But if you look, under President Bush, they took a lot of territory. Under President Obama, they took a lot of territory. Under Biden, they essentially took the whole thing. You know, it's just a question of time. Under Trump, you know what they took? Nothing. I was the one that said, you can't build your pipeline. That was half built. I came in, I stopped the pipeline. It's called Nord Stream 2. Nobody knows that. You know, nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2. You might have not even heard of it. Biggest pipeline.
Nobody's ever heard of it.
In the world, I stopped it.
You haven't even heard of it, Mr. Reporter.
I'm not a friend of Russia, but I got along well with Putin. It's always good to get along with other countries if possible, but that doesn't mean you roll over like Biden did. Biden came in and he immediately approved the pipeline. I couldn't believe it. Then they say Trump wasn't tough on Russia. I wasn't tough. I was the toughest. Putin said, if you're not tough, I would hate like hell to see you. I stopped the biggest economic development job, the biggest job that Russia had ever built. I stopped it. It was dead. And this low IQ president came in and he let them build a pipeline and supply oil and gas all over Europe, you know. So this is really a feel-out meeting a little bit. And President Putin invited me to get involved. He wants to get involved. I believe he wants to get it over with. Now, I've said that a few times, and I've been disappointed because I have.
In fact, Trump did not stop the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. He enabled it. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline went from 0 to 90% complete during Trump's presidency. It went from not even started to 90% complete under Trump. Rather than stop it dead, the Trump administration rejected years of bipartisan congressional calls for imposition of sanctions to stop the project. Only when Congress, in frustration, passed mandatory sanctions did the administration finally take action. But by then, it was too late. Far from nobody ever hearing of it, the Nord Stream 2 was a lightning rod from when it was announced in 2015. The pipeline deal was part of the misguided German policy of deepening energy ties with Russia, despite Putin's illegal annexation of Crimea and his fomenting of separatism in the Donbass region of Ukraine. The Obama administration saw the Nord Stream 2 for what it was, an effort to bypass existing gas transport routes through Ukraine and undermine solidarity among NATO allies. The project pitted Poland, the Baltic countries, and Ukraine against Germany. The European Commission and European Parliament similarly opposed the project as a threat to European energy security. Congress saw these dangers as well and took legislative action. In 2017, it passed the Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act, CATSA, which included a section specifically targeting Russian energy export pipelines. Sanctions against the pipelines were to be imposed at the discretion of the Secretary of State in consultation with the Secretary of Treasury and in coordination with other U.S. allies. Enter Rex Tillerson, Trump's first Secretary of State, was a 2013 recipient of an Order of Friendship from Putin in recognition of Tillerson's contributions to cooperation with the Russian energy sector while he was CEO of ExxonMobil. It was Tillerson who issued the fateful public guidance to energy companies that CATSA sanctions would only apply to new Russian export pipelines, those contracted after August 2017, contrary to the will of Congress. Nord Stream 2 was thus grandfathered in and outside the scope of these sanctions thanks to the Trump administration. Under Tillerson's guidance, the 5 EU companies participating in the Nord Stream 2 with Gazprom had no legal grounds to declare force majeure, and the project went forward at a rapid pace. It went from 0 to 90% complete under Trump. Mike Pompeo became Secretary of State in April 2018 after Trump unceremoniously fired Tillerson by a tweet. But Pompeo did not change the Tillerson guidance, and Nord Stream 2 remained grandfathered in. Rhetorically, U.S. policy under Trump was, as it had been under Obama, opposed to the pipeline. Trump's controversial ambassador to Germany, Richard Grenell, repeatedly and publicly raised the possibility of American sanctions against German companies involved, infuriating his hosts. Trump, too, spoke against the Nord Stream 2 in Brussels in 2018, berating Germany for freeloading on the U.S. military while expanding energy ties with Russia. But where it counted, actually imposing sanctions against the project at the key stage when it could be stopped, the administration did nothing. Indeed, Trump's posture amounted to the worst of both worlds, alienating our German allies while failing to take action to stop the pipeline. Putin must have been pleased. None of that's true. None of what Trump says about maybe you never heard of it. It was a big deal when it was announced. It was a big deal under Trump, and he pretended that he didn't want it and did nothing.
Have like a great call with him, and then missiles would be lobbed into Kiev or some other place, and you'd have 60 people laying on a road dying. I said, that's cold. But it's a violent war. 5,000 to 7,000 people a week are dying. And there's nobody from here.
The way they finally got Trump to take action was in the, what's it called? The NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and some other people, a couple Democrats too, inserted a provision in the National Defense Authorization Act that made the U.S. and the administration apply targeted sanctions against ships involved in laying undersea pipe for the Nord Stream 2 project. Mandatory sanctions. Congress did it, and Trump is just too dumb to know that it was coming. He had no idea it was in there.
All Russian and Ukrainian people, and some people from the city. It's a much smaller number, but still.
But it was too late. They only had 10%. They only had 10% of the pipe left to do, so they just did the last 10% with sanctions on.
Those missiles do damage and they kill a lot of people, but mostly soldiers. And The young soldiers, although in the case of Ukraine, they're getting much older. They're drafting 60-year-olds now. It's a terrible thing to witness, and I think I have an obligation. Look, this is Joe Biden's war. This is not my war. I made a deal with NATO a month ago. You covered it very accurately. Actually, we don't pay anything anymore. We're not paying anything. They are buying things from us, and NATO is paying us. I got it raised from 2% of GDP to 5%, and they're paying us for everything that we send. We're not paying. But Biden approved $350 billion. Europe has spent $100 billion. The money that's been spent and the death is incredible. It's the worst thing that's happened, by far the worst that's happened since World War II. So I'm going in to speak to Vladimir Putin, and I'm going to be telling him, you got to end this war. You got to end it. And he wasn't going to mess with me. This war would have never happened. You know, we had a discussion about it one time, and we never had that discussion again. Would have never happened. And when the election was rigged, and then Biden took office, which was barely took office, the auto pen took office, bad things started happening. Bad things, stupid things were said, and it ended up in a war. And you know, and I don't believe this will happen anymore because I have that pretty well covered. This could end up in a third world war. This could have been a third world war. I don't think that's going to happen now. But I thought it was very respectful that the president of Russia is coming to our country.
He doesn't like you. He doesn't listen to you. I don't know what the fuck you want. Now the president of Russia is coming to our country. I thought you said you were going to Russia. Oh, wait. We all know it's Alaska, you fucking retard.
As opposed to us going to his country or even a third-party place. But
didn't he just say, maybe you guys don't know this, but I'm going to Russia soon, and it's embarrassing when I have to see Vladdy Daddy, and D.C. is full of crime.
I think we'll have constructive conversations. Then after that meeting, immediately, maybe as I'm flying out, maybe as I'm leaving the room, I'll be calling the European leaders who I get along with very well. And, I have a great relationship, I think, with all of them. And I get along with Zelensky, but, I disagree with what he's done. Very, very severely disagree. This is a war that should have never happened, wouldn't have happened. But I'll be speaking to Zelensky. The next meeting will be with Zelensky and Putin, or Zelensky and Putin and me. I'll be there if they need. But I want to have a meeting set up between the two leaders. I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, well, I have to get constitutional approval. I mean, he's got approval to go into war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap because there'll be some land swapping going on. I know that through Russia.
So basically, when Biden got in, it was all but complete. In 2020, Pompeo finally rescinded the grandfathering in thing of the Nord Stream 2 and put sanctions on it. Germany did not take that well. They're like, you let us build the whole fucking thing, and now you're going to sanction it when we're ready to almost ready to open it. So when the Biden came in, the final segments were being connected, and because of how Trump had shredded relations with Germany, they were already hooked on it. That's the only thing that's going to keep their prices from skyrocketing in winter and people fucking dying and shit. And the relations we had with Germany already, Biden just lifted them and said it's a bad deal. He denounced it, said it was a danger to all European energy security. But in an effort to rebuild relations with Germany, they waived the sanctions. But it should have been stopped before the pop was laid, right? Once it's there, what do you expect them not to use it? If they turn it off, their rates are going to go through the fucking roof. And if they use it, you're going to put sanctions on it and make it's only hurting the people, right? So they pulled the sanction. It should have been stopped long ago when Trump was in office the first time.
And through conversations with everybody, for the good of Ukraine. Good stuff, not bad stuff. Also, some bad stuff for both. So it's good, and then go into war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap because there'll be some land swapping, constitutional approval. I mean, he's got approval to go and have a meeting set up between the two leaders. I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, well, I have to get constitutional approval. I mean, he's got approval to go into war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap because...
Obviously. He's not gonna sit there and swap land without talking to Congress.
There'll be some land swapping going on. I know that through Russia and through conversations with everybody. For the good of Ukraine. Good stuff, not bad stuff. Also, some bad stuff for both. So there's good and there's bad. But it's very complex.
To the good of Ukraine. To the good of Ukraine. Not bad stuff. Good stuff. You'll say good stuff. Also some bad stuff. Nothing bad. Don't worry. Nothing bad's going to happen to you. It's all going to be good. It's going to be good stuff. You'll see how good it is. Also, lots of bad stuff. Lots of bad stuff is going to happen to you. Fucking retard, dude.
Because you have lines that are very uneven, and there'll be some swapping, there'll be some changes in land, and the word that they will use is, they make changes. We're going to change the lines, the battle lines. Russia's occupied a big portion of Ukraine. They've occupied some very prime territory. We're going to try and get some of that territory back for Ukraine. But they've taken some very prime territory. They've taken largely ocean, in real estate we call it oceanfront property. That's always the most valuable property. If you're on a lake...
Are you fucking retarded? You think Russia's in it for the oceanfront property?
A river or an ocean, it's always the best property. Well, Ukraine, a lot of people don't know that Ukraine was largely 1,000 miles of ocean. That's gone. Other than one small area, Odessa, it's a small area. There's just a little bit of water left. So I'm going to go and see the parameters. Now, I may leave and say, good luck, and that'll be the end. I may say this is not going to be settled. I mean, there are those that believe that Putin wanted all of Ukraine. I happen to be one of them, by the way. I think if it weren't for me, he would not be even talking to anybody else right now. But I'm going to meet with him. We're going to see what the...
Well, he's fucking said that, right? Ukraine has about 1,700 miles of shoreline, coastline.
I'm going to call up President Zelensky and the European leaders right after the meeting, and I'm going to tell them what kind of a deal. I'm not going to make a deal. It's not up to me to make a deal. I think a deal should be made for both. I think Russia has to get back into building their country. It's a massive country. I think they have 11 time zones, if you can believe it. It's a massive, it's by far, from the standpoint of land, it's by far the largest. They have tremendous potential in Russia to do well. They're not doing well. Their economy is not doing well right now because it's been very well disturbed by this. It doesn't help when the President of the United States tells their largest or second largest oil buyer that we're putting a 50% tariff on you if you buy oil from Russia. That was a big blow. And then they say, gee, he wasn't so tough. Nobody else would have done that. And I haven't stopped there. I mean, look, I was all set to do things far bigger than that. But I got a call that they'd like to meet, and I'm going to see what they want to.
He does things. He does saber rattling, right, and stuff where he can fall back and say, "Look, nobody would have done this. I would have done this." Well, partly because it's stupid, and you're not actually doing the things that would actually hurt them, and we know that. Well, if you're smarter than MAGA, you know that.
I'd like to see a ceasefire. I'd like to see the best deal that can be made for both parties. You know, it takes two to tango, right? So ultimately, I'll have a meeting next week. I had a great relationship with him, considering the fact that, I was not nice to him because of the pipeline. I ended the pipeline. I also gave the javelins. Did you ever hear of a javelin? Javelin is called a tank buster. They say that Obama gave them sheets and I gave them javelins. If it weren't for me...
No one says that. You say that.
All those tanks that were destroyed at the first days of the war because the tanks got stuck in the mud. Some commander made a better say. They would have been in Kiev in 4 hours. Going down the highway. But a Russian general made a brilliant decision to go through the farmland instead. And they just had torrential rains, and the rains were so bad, and it was mud, and those tanks got stuck in the mud. I don't know.
That's not what happened. They expected to be there in weeks, right? They expected to be in Kiev in weeks. When they met resistance, including just random fucking farmers and shit that fucking decided to resist and block the roads and do things, the thaw happened, right? Once the thaw happened, everybody knew the tanks were going to get stuck everywhere they fucking go.
I don't know who that general is, but knowing Vladimir, he's probably not around any longer because all those tanks were stuck in the mud and they went along.
How funny. How funny. Knowing my good buddy Vladimir, he probably fucking killed his general, executed him.
With the javelins, I gave him the javelins. You know that, right? I gave him javelins. They gave him sheets. But I'm going to meet with President Putin, and we're going to see what he has in mind. And if it's a fair deal, I'll reveal it to the European Union leaders and to the NATO leaders, and also to President Zelensky. I think out of respect, I'll call him first, and then I'll call them after. And I may say, lots of luck, keep fighting, or I may say we can make a deal. I will tell you this: I've seen a poll coming out of Ukraine. 88% of the people would like to see a deal made. And if you go back 3 years, everybody was gung-ho for war. Everybody's gung-ho for war until you have it. It's an amazing thing. I had it with a couple of countries where I couldn't get a deal done with one particular country. And I just couldn't. The guy's great. He's a friend of mine. Great. Good leader. Tough as hell. I couldn't get the deal done. And then he went into war for a short period of time. You know where I'm talking about. First term. And it was nasty. Guys being killed all over the place. And he went through 1 week of war, and I was able to get the deal done. He said, this is nasty. Yes, please.
Just to follow up on what you were saying. First of all, Volodymyr Zelensky is not invited on Friday?
He wasn't a part of it. I would say he could go, but he's gone to a lot of meetings. He's been there for 3.5 years. Nothing happened.
And what is the definition?
I mean, you want somebody that's been doing this for 3.5 years? What's the definition of a good deal? I'll tell you after I hear what the deal is. Because there could be many definitions. You're talking about a very large and complex situation. I tell you, the war that I just settled with Azerbaijan and with, as you know, in Armenia was almost as complex as this one, having to do with routes.
Meeting on Friday with Vladimir.
Well, we're going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and at the end of that meeting, probably the first 2 minutes,
I think what's crushing a lot of hope in Ukrainians around the war is Trump. I think that's what's crushing a lot of hope.
know exactly whether or not a deal can be made. Because that's what I do. I make deals. Please go ahead.
I'm going to ask you 2 questions, one about China, one about Russia, if I could. On China, your administration agreed to send the most advanced NVIDIA and AMD chips.
I'm sure dragging on and it being a while. I mean, think we had 20-some year wars, right, in Afghanistan and Iraq, and they seem to drag on, and it went from people saying, well, we got to get those terrorists, to people saying, we need to come the fuck home, right? But Trump's craziness has got to stifle the hope.
No, obsolete. Well, and then 50% of the
I mean, the 20s. No. This is an old chip that China already has. And I deal with Jensen, who's a great guy, and NVIDIA. The chip that we're talking about, the H20, it's an old chip. China already has it in a different form, different name, but they have it. Or they have a combination of two will make up for it, and even then some. Now, Jensen's a very brilliant guy, and Jensen also has a new chip, the Blackwell. Do you know what the Blackwell is? The Blackwell is super duper advanced. I wouldn't make a deal with that, although it's possible I'd make a deal, a somewhat enhanced in a negative way, Blackwell. In other words, take 30% to 50% off of it. But that's the latest and the greatest in the world. Nobody has it. They won't have it for 5 years. But the H20 is obsolete. You know, it's one of those things, but it still has a market. So I said, listen, I want 20% if I'm going to prove this for you, for the country, for our country, for the U.S. I don't want it myself. You know, every time I say like 747, I want, yeah, for the Air Force. So I just wanted, so when I say I want 20, I want for the country. I only care about the country. I don't care about myself. And said, would you make it 15? So we negotiate a little deal. So he's selling a essentially old chip that Huawei has, a similar chip, a chip that does the same thing. And I said, good, if I'm going to give give it to you because they have a,
By the way, the Blackwell launched in the fourth quarter of 2024.
they have a stopper, what we call a stopper. Not allowed to do it.
Blackwell architecture.
It's a restrictive covenant. And I said, if I'm going to do that, I want you to pay us as a country something because I'm giving you a release. I released them only from the age 20. Now, on the Blackwell, I think he's coming to see me again about that. But that will be a unenhanced version of the big one. Like, I don't know if you know it, we will sometimes sell fighter jets to a country and we'll give them 20% less than we have. Do you know what I mean, right? That's just it.
Do you see a time, Mr. President, when there could be normal trade between the U.S. and Russia? Should the meeting go well? Should there be peace?
I do. Yeah. Russia has a very valuable piece of land. If Vladimir Putin would go toward business instead of toward war. You know, it's a warring nation. That's what they do. They fight a lot of wars. A friend of mine said Russia's tough because they just keep on fighting. They beat Hitler, so did we, and they beat Napoleon. You know, they've been doing this for a long time. I asked a question to a very, very smart man that some people like and some people don't like. Viktor Orban, right, from Hungary, the head of Hungary.
The dictator? Okay.
In that same area and knows the two countries very well. I said, this was before Biden didn't do anything to get us out of it. He could have gotten us out of that. It would have never happened. I said, so can Russia be beaten by Ukraine? He looked at me like, what a stupid question. He said, Russia's a massive country, and they win their country, and they win their life through wars. They fight wars. That's what they do. He said, China beats you with trade. Russia beats you with war. That was a very interesting statement. China's not beating us with trade. Not when I'm in charge. But they were beating Biden with trade, but they never beat us with trade. Don't forget, China had to pay $400 billion worth of tariffs when I was last time. That was last time. And if we didn't have COVID, all of this stuff we would be loaded. We're finding hundreds of billions of dollars of cash is pouring into our country now because of tariffs. And all we're doing is we're doing what they do to us. It's so beautiful to see it. They found last month, they just saw $25 million of excess cash flow. They say, where did it come from? I said, I'll tell you where it came from. It came from a place called...
No, taxes were due. Taxes were due, you fucking retard. Plus, we cut 21 million or something from fucking Department of Education.
Tariffs, and we're doing very well. We're really doing well. But I expect to have a meeting with Putin that I think it'll be good, but it might be bad. And I'm here for one reason, to get rid of a war that somebody else started. Should have never happened. And if I could end it, great. Complex war, a lot of bad blood,
Going to end it before he even takes office, when he's president-elect, remember?
But Zelensky's been there for 3.5 years, so if you put him in a room... Now, I will say this. Ultimately, I'm going to put the two of them in a room. I'll be there or I won't be there, and I think it'll get solved. Yeah, please do. Excuse me, I'm going to suggest it, because do you have any other questions on DC? Because I don't want them to be... Wait. These are incredible people. I don't want...
Now he's arguing. He's arguing with if the question is going to be about DC or not.
Solved. Yeah, please do. Excuse me, I'm going to suggest it, because do you have any other questions on DC? Because I don't want them to be... Wait. These are incredible people. I don't want them to be standing up here on subjects. Does anybody have a question of them? And then you guys can leave. Okay, a question, Brian, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And by the way, this is only on DC, and then they can leave because it's unfair to have them stand up here all day long.
I've got two questions for you. First, about DC. This is personal for me as well. Last year, I was robbed on the streets by one of these teenage thugs. Had a gun, got away with it. Let's talk about the effort that between law enforcement, prosecutors, and judges, because it's a recycling belt that these kids go. They don't fear the police. They know. You talk about how we've got to get these judges and put these kids behind bars. Right. Adult crimes deserve adult penalties. And my second question, I'll have you answer that.
You want me to answer?
Whoever was it.
Okay. It's real. Do you want me to answer it? Here's the problem. Assuming that they're 17 years, older than 17 years old, I can get the case. If they're under 18 years of age, I can only get the case if it's murder, rob one, rape, even if they shoot a gun but don't kill you, I can't get it. So the law has to be changed. As the president said, capseless bail. That has to be changed. All right, then, even assuming I get the case, I get jurisdiction, I get a conviction, the D.C. Council has given the judges the ability to give probation on shootings. And so then it's up to them. All of these things, the Youth Rehabilitation Incarceration Reduction Act, and now they want to seal records. So if we work hard, we get a conviction, they want...
Yeah, let's get rid of that incarceration, youth incarceration reduction. That sounds fucking woke.
I wipe it out. So that needs ultimate change.
Okay, Pam, would you answer that?
Yeah, and just back to that topic. Let's be clear, though. We're going to charge them, and we're going to track every single thing they do throughout every step of the court process and report back to you and let all of you know what's happening to them. Because the people who are prosecuting them, the judges who are trying them, they also need to be held accountable.
This is the most people we've ever seen in history. I've never seen ever, right?
I've never seen any. Where's Caroline? Where's my superstar? Caroline in the back. Where's Caroline? Come here, Caroline. Come here. Is she doing a good job, by the way? Come here. Is this the largest crowd we've given?
Nobody clap.
This is definitely the most packed briefing, and I think all of you would agree. I think it's why we need to build a ballroom.
Brian, go ahead.
You're building a big, beautiful ballroom. Yeah. Could we build a big, beautiful briefing room? More seats.
I don't want you to be comfortable. No, I don't want to make life comfortable. So look. Let's just do this. It's going to be a big thing. We're going to Russia. That's going to be a big deal. What happened?
Oh, we're back to going to Russia. Remember? You're going to Alaska.
happens. I'll let you know what happens. You'll be the first to know. I'll be calling the European leaders. I'm going with totally. I mean, we have a lot of talks. They're great people. They're great leaders, actually. And they want to get back. Honestly, as one of them said, I've OD'd when trying to settle Ukraine. They've OD'd, meaning they've overdosed on the settlement of Ukraine. Not a nice expression, but boy, is it accurate. They're tired of it. They want to get back to spending money on their countries. You know, Biden gave them $350 billion. Europe gave $100 billion. It should be much more than that. Shouldn't have been that kind of. They should have had equalization, but they didn't. But you know what? Still a lot of money. They want to get back to building their own countries. They really want it resolved. My relationship with the European leaders, as you saw, is extremely good. Like
he can't even keep his lies straight.
It's perfect. It's beautiful. Wait. And we're going to try. I'll be in touch with them. I have 5 of them call me. You think it's easy? There's a lot of European leaders, but they rely on me. Very much rely on me. If it wasn't for me, this thing would never get solved until the last person breathing is dead.
Did you talk to them before?
Until it's just literally Zelensky and Putin throwing rocks at each other.
So I'm talking to the European leaders. I'll be talking to President Zelensky. I'm going to get everybody's ideas. I go into that thing fully loaded right up there, and we're going to see what happens. Now,
fully loaded right up here. That's how I go in.
I think one of 2 things is going to happen. It'll be a good meeting, and we'll go a step further. We'll get it done. I'd like to see a ceasefire very, very quickly. Very quick. I'd like to see it immediately, but I'd like to see it very quickly. And we're going to be dealing with the European leaders, and we're going to be dealing with President Zelensky, and hopefully we're going to have a great success. As far as what we did today,
how does he have such a bad underbuy, or at least it looks like he's got such a bad underbuy?
Here for D.C. more so than even Russia, because Russia will be, we have a couple of days to go, but the Russia's going to be very interesting. But to me, what is very exciting, we're going to take back our capital.
I never see somebody's bottom teeth so exposed and like no top teeth.
We're going to make it beautiful again, but we're going to make it, more importantly, safe again. It's going to be so safe. It's going to be a model. And then we'll look at other cities also, but other cities are studying what we're doing. And you have some capable people in other cities. They can do it too. But we have a great group of professionals. We're going to have a safe, beautiful capital, and it's going to happen very quickly. Thank you all. Thank you all very much.
He didn't want to answer any more questions. What really happened? Remember, because he said DC questions and they can go, and then we can ask the other questions. Nope.
All right, we just heard President Donald Trump speaking from the press briefing room at the White House. The reason for his announcement was the announcement that he was invoking his ability to take a level of law enforcement control over the District of Columbia. Basically, the federal government is now going to take control of the Metropolitan Police Department.
So there you go. Trump's a fucking lunatic, guys. Trump's a lunatic. Everybody knows he's a lunatic. And I don't know why he is holding up in the Capitol and surrounding himself with police and law enforcement and fucking the military, I guess. Tomorrow, I got to go today. Mariah's been getting after me. I've been coming in too late and whatever. Anyways, tomorrow we're going over some more Kendra, the girl that's in love with her AI and her psychiatrist, and thinks that he did it to her. She actually deleted her account, but I've got a couple videos to show you on Kendra. One, she's a scammer. 2, this lady did the whole breakdown, the whole timeline. This lady did everything, and she's got a couple different videos we're going to watch. So, again, that'll be tomorrow's show. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being here. Support the show while we're offline at buymeacoffee.com/coldbeer. Buymeacoffee.com/coldbeer. And we'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a good night. Talk to you later. Love you. See you. Bye.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well listen bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like Thor in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't